I wear glasses, by the way. I take them off because the glare is really bad. Hi! I'm back! Yeah, I didn't think I was gonna make another YouTube video. I was kind of just taking a shot in the dark. I'm really glad that people have been watching my video. Thank you for watching and sharing if you have. I think I'm at 25 subscribers right now. Yay! That's super fire. Genuinely, this is like something super new for me, so I don't ever talk on the internet. I like to keep a very much mysterious persona, which I fail as soon as I open my mouth. It's fine. I love to yap. That's just me. My last video was completely like unscripted, and this one is like mildly scripted. Using my new fun mini sketchbook, I have some guidelines so I don't get super off track and kill myself editing. Thank you for watching my video and listening to me yap about a lot of stuff. I would love to go into more in depth with. Thank you for commenting also on my community post and also under the video. It's actually been super inspiring to see people be like, oh, hey, I found you through the algorithm. What? The YouTube algorithm is giving you something that's not slop? I consume slop. I love slop. It's great. Yeah, so today I want to talk about my comic process and answer some questions towards the end, and then kind of just like give a little overview about what I want to do with the channel. I don't know. I'm kind of just winging it. I really want to just use this channel as like a place to just talk about stuff I like. Maybe not just comics. Well, it probably will be like movies and like TV maybe. I'm not entirely sure exactly what this is going to be. So I happen to talk about comics right now. Okay, so I want to talk about my comic process, and I'm going to be talking in relation to What We Leave Behind and Fishbone, and I might reference my other comic, Crescent Dunes, which I'll link down below. You can read it for free on Webtoons. So typically, I will start with a concept or like an idea or based off of an image or a feeling I kind of need to like convey, or I start by asking myself a question or challenging myself. Another thing that I do, like that's like for story wise, for visually, I also ask myself personally, like how can I challenge myself? So, and that's where I go like visually. Hold on. Motorcycle man outside. So yeah, I just basically start with like a concept or a question for story and for visuals. I'm gonna be referencing from my book, so if I'm looking down a lot, I'm using my book. For visuals, I love Pinterest. Pinterest. I love it so much. Pinterest is so good because I can just sit there for hours collecting visual information and just random things that could make a lot of sense for my story. I have a Pinterest for What We Leave Behind. I have a Pinterest board for Crescent Dunes. I think for like most projects that I work on that I know that are like visually really specific or like very like character specific, I'll make a Pinterest board for, and I just have like, I think I have almost 500 pins for What We Leave Behind, and I'm not done. I'm not done fleshing stuff out for different characters and different places. Like, I'm not done. I'm never done. The work is never done. So I love doing Pinterest, and that helps me with like research and design. Oh yeah, research. That just requires me like reading things and deep diving rabbit holes and YouTube videos and essays and all that stuff. So Pinterest, research, and designing. So that's just your standard character design, just drawing the same character face like 8 million times. I'm so guilty of that, and I love it. I don't care. Yeah, like basically like I draw the same character over and over and over and over and over again just to make sure I can like still do it, and also it's super consistent, and it like is like training my brain to be doing that for like however many pages I need to be doing it. So after I come up with a concept that feels pretty solid, I'm starting to kind of itch about a story. So then I'll start going into like writing. Something that really helped me when I was writing was reading Save the Cat. If you haven't read Save the Cat, you should. I think it's like a very super common like tip for people, especially like writers and screenwriters, to be like, read Save the Cat. It's just a good like outline for writing. It's where I got my board from. If you haven't read Save the Cat, read it, study it, do notes, then come back to this video. Okay, So now that you've read Save the Cat, I need you to read another book called Understanding Comics by Scott McCloud. That's also like a really super basic entry level, like, I want to get into comics kind of book. Understanding Comics and Making Comics by Scott McCloud is like basically what got me into being like more serious about comic making. It really is super in-depth, much more than I could ever really explain, because a lot of my knowledge just comes from those books. So like, read Save the Cat, read Making Comics and / Understanding Comics, and you will get a better foundation of where I'm coming from. So after you've done that, come back to this video. Cool, now that you've done that good fucking research, you kind of you will understand where I'm coming from now. After I have gotten a concept, I'll start doing my beat sheet that I get from Save the Cat. I'll fill out my board, which I've done, and I fill out all my holes, and I will pitch to other people. I recommend, and I've been recommended this also from other people, pitch to like 3 or 4 people that you find who give good critique, and people that you trust their judgment on, especially if you like their type of media that they consume. I need you to start pitching to those types of people, because that's your like market audience. And like, pitch to people who are just lay people, like your family or like friends who are not artists or whatever. Those are great people to like start talking to, because that's like the average reader that you will get. You're not gonna get like people who are like super comic readers. You're just gonna get random people reading your stuff. So you need to make sure that your story still makes sense to people who really get what you do, and to people who don't understand what you do at all. Pitching is very important. So once I've started getting my beat sheet and my board out, I'll start filling in the blanks. I mean, by filling in the blanks, like all the weird plot hole stuff, and it's like quite literally like a hole on your board. It'll be like something's missing in the story beats. You start filling that stuff in, and then sit on it. Yes! Sit on it! Save the Cat recommends sitting on it for a week. I think I sat on What We Leave Behind for like a week and a half. The story will call back to you, like literally physically cover it up, don't look at it. Finish what you have. It's not gonna be perfect. Cover it up, come back to it in a week or so. Time fixes all the problems. So that does mean you have to wait, and it is super frustrating, but it's also kind of nice because you just finish it and you leave it. And then you come back to it and it's like a whole new thing. Go consume other media, you go outside, you be social, you know, you just forget about it for a minute. You come back and you're like, oh no, this makes more sense. Like, that's just how writing is. Once I've got my beat sheet, my boards, fixed all the holes for the most part, I'll start scripting. There's a few different types of ways of scripting. So there's a traditional comic script, and then there's like screenwriting. I typically write for screenwriting in a screenwriting script format. Comics format is typically, if you're the writer and you're working with an artist or an editor or colorist or whatever, you kind of like detail each panel and what happens in each panel. But since I'm also the writer and the artist, I don't really need to be detailing too much about what happens in each panel, because I know, because I'm the artist. So I usually write in screenwriting format. So after I am finished with the script, for the most part, I will go into production. Woohoo! That's the actual cool part. That's the part you like actually get to fucking see. That's actually the comic pages. So for me, I'll go right into layout from the script. So my comic layout is usually just taking it shot for shot in my head, how I want to pace a story, and I'm including some things that I might not have included in the script, such as like different atmospheric beats or things that are a little bit more vague that I kind of described in the stage directions. And I go by this saying, do the pages that you're most excited about first, leave the hard ones for later. So that is what I live by on like a lot of things creatively. So usually I'll just go and do the pages I have the bandwidth to do for that day or in the time that I am given. I will start working on the pages that feel easy to me. For What We Leave Behind, actually my first pages were atmospheric, straight up atmospheric testing pages, just to see if I could put this character in a place that made sense. And then I started doing more conceptual things that felt really weird. So that's where my big baby image comes from. That one's just straight up like, oh, that'd be funny if this was a big baby in there. And now it's like a major plot point, so I kind of spoiled. That's fine. You guys, you won't get it until I get it out in your hands. You won't understand. Don't worry about that. And then actually for Fishbone, I think I did like 5 pages in this time span of maybe like a month and a half. Mostly because I just super wanted to escape real life. And then I moved and a lot of other life things happened. So over the summer I didn't do anything because I was dealing with life stuff. Something I do want to talk about is tenacity in a long-term project. And I think I'll touch a little bit more on this in like the Q&A section because someone asked a question about this. Another thing, you might bounce back and forth between all these processes. I'm always in concepts, always, because things are always changing like visually, which is totally fine. Something I try not to bounce back and forth between a lot is writing. So usually once I write the script twice, it's pretty okay for layouts. I may go back a third, possibly a fourth time just to really tighten some stuff down. Usually I save dialogue for last because dialogue is pretty hard to make it feel believable or real. I'm bouncing back and forth between script and production a lot of times. I'm currently hoping to tighten up the script so it's completely done, so therefore I can just focus on production. Once I'm finished with the script, I am fully in production mode. Like the layouts are done, I'm just picking pages what I want to do per day. Usually I'll finish a page in a day and a half. I don't do this full time. I do work full time. I work 4/10s. I don't have a whole lot of time after I get out of work to do anything, so I prioritize what I can do. I also work out sometimes. I'm trying to at least, and I still have to cook and take care of my apartment. Like life shit be life and okay, life be life, and this is a project and life is life, and so I have to figure out when I can prioritize my time to do stuff. So once I'm done with the actual inks, I will go into lettering. I use Procreate. It's not a big deal, and it's my first time using it. Plus I'm gonna be doing some coloring in there anyway. Another thing, I will scan my physical copies, my physical sheets with my printer. And then I will save into my Google Drive and I'll download it to Procreate, and then I'll do all the lettering and all the tweaking and all the cleanup, and then the coloring last. What we leave behind is in color, which is like obviously really fucking important to the story. The cats change color. Duh, of course. Crescent Dunes, not so much. That was a fully digital project I did in my senior year of college. Because I'm really particular, I want to add all the effects, and I don't want it to be like super like airbrushy. I hate the airbrush comic look. If you like that, cool. I fucking hate it. It's bad. In the case of What We Leave Behind, I'm doing a tradigital approach, traditionally inked, digitally colored, and lettered. There are no speech bubbles in any of my pages. So like here, just carbon, and there's like a meow down the hallway. Yeah, so I'll do that, and then once all the coloring is done, and all the pages are done, theoretically, I'm done. Yippee! Next stage, called final. The final stage, basically marketing and getting it to print. I format for print and not digital. Here's why. Here is my why. Formatting for print is easier because you can always transfer it to digital. And if I were doing a webtoon, I would need to like do a scrolling format. And if I wanted to do a scrolling format into a print form, it doesn't work. Prime example, Lore Olympus. Cool, I read it for like 8 months. I mean, it's fine. I'm not like, webtoons aren't really my thing per se, but it's in a scroll format. You know, you go through these like really beautiful long moments in the story of just like watercolors, or like, you know, the panels are really long because it's a long scrolling format. Have you seen it in print though? It does not translate. It doesn't translate because it was not meant to be for print. Print goes a longer way than it would in digital. Therefore, I format for print, so all my pages are meant to be printed out, and then I can put them online as like an actual page. I can put them in a scrolling format if I want to. It just won't be like a traditional scrolling format. That's just my preference. I'm not shitting on Lore Olympus. I really don't care. I just think the webtoon scroll format to print format is shit because it's just not formatted that way. That's my opinion. So yeah, once that's done, once I've actually got it printed, then it's time to sell that bad boy or market it or give it out to people. You do whatever the fuck you want with it. You can put it on your shelf and let it collect dust, or you can put it in your portfolio. I highly encourage you to put it in your portfolio because you worked so hard on it. Duh. Obviously, show your process and all that. But that's like a whole other video about like portfolio making because I'm in the process of doing that. And then once you're done and like the celebration and the serotonin is worn off, then you get the itch to do it again. And then you get to do it again and again and again and again and again and again until you die. I just make comics until I retire and die. So it's cool. That's what I want to do. Yeah, so basically that's my comic making process. Hopefully that makes sense and it's kind of concise, and yeah. Okay, now it's time for the Q&A section. Woohoo, woohoo! Yay, I'm very excited. I got a couple of questions from people on Instagram and from YouTube, so I'm just gonna reference my computer here and I'm gonna read them off to you right now. This one is from Moonlit Mike on Instagram. If given the power, how big what would you leave behind be? Would you want it to be animated? Maybe continuations. First, answering that part of the question, how big would I want it to be? As big as the story needs to be. I'm aiming at 160 pages. But after writing Fishbone, I was like, no, I'm gonna just let the story be as big as it needs to be. And I'm gonna just kind of let it ride. And I'm not gonna try and chop too much out because it's too long. Because then I'm starting to miss things and it might be lacking. If anything, if I add a bunch more, I can take stuff out that doesn't need to be there, and that's okay. Trimming the fat's always fine. Would I want it to be animated? That would be cool. I think it would be cool. It just depends. If I had an animation studio to animate it, it would have to be the Lion Animation Studio, I think in London or like the UK. I love that studio so very much. They're so awesome. I think it would be super interesting if it was live action. I feel like if it was live action, it would need a lot of practical effects, and I would love it to be like a blockbuster, kind of like Dune production type. I don't know. That's just kind of how I envision it. I never really see my projects so much as animated. Crescent Dunes I could definitely see animated. That feels like a very like friendly thing to animate. It feels like a very animation friendly type of story. This one not so much. This one's like much darker, and it's like, not that animation can't be dark, and I've definitely seen some like darker like animated films, but I think if I were to like market it or whatever, I think it would have to be live action just because of the nature of the content. Would I want it to be animated? Yeah, that'd be cool, but I think live action would be like much more interesting. Continuations. Nope, this is an open and closed story for the most part. I mean, it's like mildly open-ended, but I do not have any plans on continuing it, mostly because it is so fucking long. It's so long, and I don't want to do more. I'm already working on a series. My goal for this project was to just make a story that was not a series. I wanted an open and shut story, so that's what I'm aiming to do. So no continuations. Okay, so the next question comes from Prema K Kaya on Instagram. I hope I'm not butchering your name or your username, my bad. They said, would love to hear your thoughts on conquering a long-term creative project like this, especially with no guidance, pressure, or timelines from professors or bosses. Great question. I have this handy dandy thing called a shot list that I was introduced to in my high school days. I have a background in animation in high school, so I did a lot of that kind of stuff. And a shot list type is what I ended up adopting as my schedule. I basically just make a big old list in Google Sheets, and then I'll have my page numbers on the side according to my layout. I'll have a description of each page depending on like what's going on the page, some notes if I need to cut something or I change things. Then I have a checklist for thumbs, inks, colors, and finals, depending on what kind of project I'm working on. And then from there, I just check off what I've done. And at the bottom of it, I have a percentage counter, basically. Like, I have a function that'll count up all of the check marks and divide it by the total, and then just tell me the percentage. And then from all of those percentages, I'll have like a mass total percentage for the entire project next to the due date. So that's really been helping me keep on track, because my brain loves to be like, I want to get to 100%. This needs to get finished. I need to see this all filled out. Like, I don't know, my brain is like that. So that really helps me, which is basically like a shot list / production schedule. And then from there, I kind of just chug away on my own. In terms of tenacity that I was talking about earlier, I don't have anything else to do. I would not be happy doing anything else. I currently work in signage full time, and that's cool and everything. I don't want to do that forever. Not at all. Not at all. I want to make comics, and basically your drive to want to do this thing is really gonna push you forward. Comics is hard. This shit sucks sometimes. It sucks. I have cried over Crescent Dunes like 3 times writing that shit because it's just so hard and you just can't figure it out because you're writing, you're doing the research, you're doing the artwork, you're fucking marketing it, you're everything an agency would be in one person. It's hard. This shit sucks. So you have to want it bad enough to continue on the project. And taking breaks is completely okay. Take a fucking break if you just can't figure that shit out. Come back to it a week later, but always come back to it. The story, if it's worth telling, will call back to you to finish it. I hate leaving shit unfinished everywhere in my life. It's super annoying and it irritates me and it bothers me to no end. Your tenacity to want to finish something and fix things is gonna drive you to finish the project. Also, you should want to challenge yourself to finish something. And here's my recommendation. If this is your first time making comics, don't fucking do what I do. Don't make a 160-page graphic novel. Don't do that. You've never done this before. Make something simple, like a 1-pager, a 3, a 5-pager, something short, something digestible, where you can practice all of your story chops. The only reason why I'm challenging myself to make something so large is because I've made Crescent Dunes, which is a 32-page comic. I've made a 5-page comic. I make zines all the time. Like, all the time. I'm constantly making stuff that's really small and digestible so I can work on long-term projects later on, because it's like, well, I've done like 5 zines, which is like equivalent to like 1 comic, so it's like, oh, I can do like 3 whole comics, which are chapters, and then I can just balloon it out. You know, I know how to digest the parts of the project that are hard. So if you're starting out, don't fucking do a big, huge project. Don't do your masterpiece. You don't do your magnum opus. It's not gonna be good. I'm gonna just let you know that now. I have a whole project I developed through high school with OCs, and it was huge. The universe is massive. I would love to tell that story. I'm not ready to tell that story now, so it's on the back burner. It was way too big. I was biting off more than I can chew. Just don't bite off more than you can chew. Do small stories. Tell small stories. That is going to be the best way to get your chops up and the way for you to figure out if you actually want to keep doing this. Conquering long-term projects with no pressure. Me personally, I literally will not be happy doing anything else. I have a good shot list scheduled to track my progress. I have a good way to track my progress, and there's like many different ways to track your progress. And also I've just been doing this for maybe like 2 years, 2.5 years. So I kind of have a little of experience on me, but it's not a lot of experience, okay? It's not a lot, but I have some in order to be like, I can trust myself to like know that I can finish this project. Okay, next question comes from Moonlit Mike on Instagram. Any radiated mutants or horrors in the depths of the earth? Absolutely, absolutely. I have a whole character I am currently fleshing out that is just nasty body horror, scary, bad, freaky little thing. I don't like it. I don't like it, and that's the good thing. So whatever your imagination can come up with, that's what's in there. And right now, I don't know exactly what's down there in the guts, basically, but I'm really excited to start exploring what I can throw Petra into. In one of my pitches, I pitched about giant worms. There will probably be giant worms. There's definitely freaky little horrors in the depths. Okay, so my next question comes from MD Sketch on YouTube. Hello! Actually, welcome from YouTube. Everyone else has been from Instagram, which is super fire, so welcome from YouTube. Algorithm has brought you in. It's brought you in. He said, page looks great. I like the moment-to-moment expressions. As far as questions, all the ones I can think of are technical ones. This is a multi-part question, so I'm gonna just kind of read the one question, answer it, read the next question, and answer it, okay? First question. Regarding the length of the story, would you be treating the story as individual issues, or will this be one big story like a modern graphic novel? This is a full graphic novel. I'm saying 160 pages. That's like roughly, if I get under, fantastic. If I go over, that sucks. I'm really aiming at 160. That's kind of an overestimate of how much I'll be actually writing. So, this is a graphic novel. Next part. Do you have plans to publish digitally and or physical copies? Physical copies are always my forefront because I do a lot of conventions. Come time of next year, I will be bringing you guys into how I do convention stuff. In regards to the comic and convention stuff, print is always number one for me because I'm selling it. I'm selling prints, and it's a physical comic. I want people to take it. It's a comic meant to be read physically. I prioritize print, and as I was going over earlier, that's how I start formatting all my comics, is for print and not digital. Then I'll upload digitally later. once I have kind of disseminated the print as much as possible. For people who can't buy the print comic, I'll put it online, like digitally. Next part. Our page is done 100% traditionally, except for the cleanup. Will the text and word balloons be hand-drawn or digitally added? I talked about this a little bit earlier in my comic process, but it's all traditional. It's all physically made. It's traditional. I prioritize traditional mostly because all through college for really mostly 100% for the last 2 years of my college experience, I was digital completely. Then I graduated and I could not pick up my iPad to do any real work that I was like really invested in. So I was like, okay, I'm just wanna like try dip, pen, and ink and let's see what I can do. So basically this whole thing is me figuring out dip, pen, and ink the entire way, which is insane. So yeah, traditional with a digital twist, tradigital basically. Next part. What are the dimensions you draw on? Was it an easy choice to make or did you have to go through different sizes? Actually going through different sizes was pretty difficult. I was like, should I draw on 8.5 by 11? And that's like really, really wide. And then like an actual book that I have, Fantasy Sports, is 8.5 by 11. I thought that was way too big, so I ended up just kind of figuring out, I want to go like a traditional comic book size. So that's like roughly like this. Oh, my glasses. I think the size that I'm working at currently is, let me find it. The size that I'm currently working at is 7.75 by 12 for a standard comic size of 6.625 by 10.25. So, like, I'm not good at math, and I had to have some help for like scaling stuff. There's a bunch of websites online that can tell you like, this page size scales to this, so you need to draw it this size. Like, I usually draw much larger for scanning purposes, so I can scan at like 300 or 600 DPI. So when I scale it down, it looks really good, still really crisp. You're not getting any like weird resolution problems. Draw bigger than the size that you are planning to print at because yeah, doing that the conversion process, it sucks. Last question I have is what stories/artists have influenced you either for the story or in general? I'm not gonna answer that because that's a whole other video, and I would super love to talk about that. Like, ooh, I have like my Instagram saved for What We Leave Behind is weird in itself. My Instagram saved for like style and illustration is also super cool. Like, I don't know how many posts I've saved in my illustration folder in Instagram. It's fucking crazy. I have like an entire folder, like tab on my computer it's just artists that I love. It's so long. I will have to make a whole separate video about that and just yap about it because I just love these artists so much. So I won't be answering that right now, but there will be a video in the future coming about that. Speaking of the future, I don't know. This channel's super new, so I'm trying to figure out like what I want to do with it. What do you guys want to see? What are you guys interested in seeing? I don't watch the type of content I make, which is probably super hypocritical. I don't find it interesting. Maybe someone else does. I like watching like video essays, so maybe I'll be making video essays in the future and I'm drawing or something. I don't really know. I do know I want to do like a media recommendation, whether it be like music, comics, a movie or show, like whatever, at the end of my videos to give you guys something to talk about at the bottom in the comments. And also like I just need someone else to talk about it. Talk about things with, especially like comics. Again, like I said, this is super new, so I'm like trying to figure out like what I want to do with this channel, and it'll grow organically as I continue making stuff. So I guess since I mentioned it, I guess my book rec for the month is Fantasy Sports. Read Fantasy Sports. There's like 3 of them. I think there's 3 of them. There might be 4 now. I'm not entirely sure. I only have book 2. Unfortunately, because when I moved, I accidentally took this book, and I didn't mean to, but now I have it. So, boom bam, whatever, I guess. Now I have to get 1 and 3. So, my recommendation for this week is Fantasy Sports by Sam Bosma. He's awesome. I believe he's worked on Steven Universe backgrounds for a while. This actually started out as a zine, and I'll do a video on zines and stuff about why they're super awesome. This started out as a zine and then it actually got picked up, and now he is making these beautiful, phenomenal comics. So that's my book rec. I'll put it down in the link down below. I'll also link his portfolio site take a look around. Let me know what you guys are reading. What are you guys watching right now? I need recommendations. I hope I answered your questions. Let me know what you guys want to see. I don't have an outro and an intro, although I think I'm just gonna be fixing my setup every time as my intro because I think it's a little silly. This is YouTube. You probably have always been on YouTube. I'm not gonna tell you what to do. So, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. You know what to do. I will see you guys in the next video. Okay. Bye.